Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Sanghāṃ saranang gacchāmi.
40 years ago, Sankarakshita founded an order. At dawn, Taranatha, a member of the order, offers his respects to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, the three refuges of Buddhism. This monument, visible from space, is dedicated to the memory of Dada Rinpoche. Some of Dada's ashes were brought to a place associated with Maori spiritualism or channeling.
That's Maoriland. That's an old commune that was started about 30 odd years ago by a Maori lady, social welfare. And she was a channeler, and she set this, she had a vision, she had a spiritual vision about the land, and she set it up.
With others, Satyananda bought more land, conserving it as a place for retreats, called in Sanskrit a beautiful vision. The town nearest to Sudarshana Loka is Thames, where each Saturday there's a chance to mix with visitors and buy and sell produce.
Page for your mum. Page for your mum.
What do I say?
The team at Lotus Realm mixes and sells as well as offer meditation.
$22.
Melbourne has just had the hottest week recorded in 100 years.
She's done remarkably well given the severe nature of this injury. So far she's done well on medication, which will necessitate change of medication stock.
A busy man, Dr. Mark Newton, is a consultant neurologist, internationally renowned for his work on epilepsy.
With millions staying at home trying to keep cool with air conditioning, this proved another problem with power shortages affecting many homes.
This is an area which is being exploited in looking at everything from memory to movement, sensation, and even meditation itself.
It depends on how quickly she's deteriorating. So
It's gradual,
yeah.
but it's there.
If it's 80 and it's gradual and she's managing it.
Which might be C5, so it'll be deltoid and biceps. Myelopathy, we've just said. We can assume that it's a generalised epilepsy, that is, the whole brain is being affected.
Another busy person, IT manager Beth, takes the 6-hour trip to a place she knows could deepen her meditation.
Yeah, don't complain. Yeah. It's raining again.
With the coast and a river nearby, Naga Naga is blessed with water. This remote spiritual community was founded 8 years ago by two women, Megha and Satya Gandhi.
I've been around, well, I was at Vijaya Loka when the tree fell on the dining room. I was leading a retreat, actually.
Oh, what? When was that?
It was, well, it must have been... Namo Dharmaya, 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 Namo Dhar
Namo Sankhaya, Namo Namah, Om Om.
Organising any outdoor event in Britain is something of a risk. This international retreat, itself something of an experiment, brings together Buddhafield, the alternative festival team, and an established women's retreat centre, Tara Loco. It also mixes notable preceptors in with a wide range of people.
The sun became hidden by clouds, which became darker and darker, blacker and blacker, and it grew. First it got cool, a bit cool, and then it just got really cold. Really quite cold. And there was obviously an enormous storm brewing up. And it was going to be a storm bigger than any of the animals in the forest, if you remember.
With 400 people on site, some new acquaintances will be made. Italian mum, Fiamma, shares insights with 10-year-old Sam.
Inspired by a pebble in your pocket or a stone in your pocket.
I write that book because I thought my son would have a problem when he said, "Well, you are a flower." How did you find that, being a boy?
I don't know.
You're open-minded.
Well,
what did you like about it?
Lots of things that sort of got me started off with it. It's because sometimes I used to get quite angry a bit quite easily.
Yeah.
But it sort of helped me because it said something about a pebble. What you had to do, you had to squeeze it and just have to remember about just to calm down.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with Sam. Sam's a lovely boy.
Yeah, like us all. We'll all get angry.
He did have his moments, and it would just be frustration. It wasn't so much anger, just frustration.
I used to get really annoyed with my sister, but it's all helped me a bit, and we get on a lot better now.
Yeah.
Did you write it on your programme? So it's arrive with washed hands.
As the large field fills with tents, Huey and Joseph arrive from Melbourne via London.
We're camping and the rain's held off, so that's a really good thing. But it's great.
First time we've been camping together.
That's true.
First time I've been camping for years. And it was quite exciting just putting up the tents. It's like we're kids again.
And I think it's good to be at an international event. I don't think we've got much of an international flavour of it yet, because again, it's only the first day really.
But already it's a very different retreat to the ones run by the LBC.
The LBC, the London Buddhist Centre, was opened in 1979. Some 20 years later, Vardakani founded the FWBO Centre in Paris and is now at the point of handing over to others.
Moi, quand j'ai essayé d'introduire des choses de la OBO, j'essayais d'introduire communauté et les moyens d'existence justes. C'était mes façons spécifiques et ça répondait pas assez. Parce que Sangha, en fait.
Mon val, mon miel, mon baume, mon graal, mon blé, mon or, ma terre, mon soc, mon roc, ma pierre, ma nuit, ma soif, ma faim, mon jour, mon eau.
Meeting up with Vardakani are 3 FWBO Mitras.
Et tu sais, ça fait, il y avait des lumières dans le ciel. Et je me disais,
a little time stress, but I'm pretty well. Yeah, we are on the road. I'm just detouring via Newtown to pick up Nilesh and Vijay.
3 Mitras are heading out towards Sydney Retreat Centre for a neighbour meeting event called Clean Up Oz Day.
Yeah. Yep, that'll be good.
Vijayaloka is a former Salvation Army camp. Neighbours include a former Communist Party camp, an Aboriginal educational college, and a party of naturists.
Neighbors, everybody needs good neighbors. With a little understanding, you can find the perfect plan. Neighbors should be there for one another. That's when good neighbors become good neighbors become when good neighbors become.
So thank you for coming along, Dylan, for your help today.
The resident community is splitting up, and Padmalaya reflects on the last few years.
There were times when we weren't finding it easy to live and work together, some of us. But we all felt that it was very important for us personally and for the wider Sangha to not give up. And we feel that we've done very well as a community and that we've been able to make some helpful changes at Vijayaloka because those of us who worked here decided to focus on Vijayaloka rather than try to work here and go to the centre, which is a very difficult thing to do. Hopefully, I've been able to soften some of my views.
Oh, we've given you plenty of opportunity.
Because it hasn't been easy, but it's been very rich, and I think worth the trouble. Do you think?
Yeah. But it's that sense of something to treasure.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole lot of things that have happened in the dynamics with us that have been richer than any other situation where I've been living with people. It's really as simple as that. And as rich as that. It's complicated. Very complicated at times.
The Sydney Buddhist Centre will find other ways to maintain this beautiful place.
I'm emotionally strongly connected since a long time to Russia, so it's just been quite a strong emotional focus for me. And then I met Buddhism.
Nagadakini, who lives in Germany, has experience of teaching Buddhism to Russian speakers.
I just was desperate of having some Dharma, and in St. Petersburg I knew a Buddhist, and I knew a place where I could do something. So I phoned them up and said, oh, well, come over, let's meet, and I teach you the meditation.
Another group, this time of young martial arts practitioners in Odessa, contacted the order, so once again Nagadakini is responding. During the 37-hour trip, there's some opportunities to practice.
Даша по телеке очень часто говорили, но, по крайней мере, в Питере она очень много там.
Все дело в том, что не все фильмы, которые сейчас современные, которые даже получают призы, мы видим.
Да. Я тоже слышала, что уже очень трудно было его...
У нас показывают в основном американские фильмы, кассовые. Такие фильмы серьезные, практически.
Интересно, такой литературы.
Я читаю, но очень мало.
Когда я была первый раз, это приводит уже сам с этими
построили.
И вот сейчас его отстроили заново. Точная копия старого.
Это просто он показывает уже фотографии, смотреть.
Это возле Успенского собора.
From time to time, various neighbours fill out Megha and Satyagandhi's circle.
So take your awareness down to your feet.
In the dreaming, the Aboriginal mythology, this ridge is the tail of a water dragon, and when you go down the river in a canoe, you can actually see the whole water dragon, and this being the tail. So one of the Sanskrit scholars in Sagramati came up with this idea of Naga, which we loved because he's been out here and so he knows about Aboriginal words, and we loved it because it sounds Aboriginal, and we thought all the locals would have no trouble saying it, like, you know, Vijay.
Pete and his wife live in a commune nearby which overlooks a sacred Aboriginal mountain.
Burrabulai means place of the meal, and it was a place where Aboriginal people went for ceremonies, I think.
Margaret has been on a spiritual quest for 50 years.
I was in my 60th year and all ready for jumping into something new, and I saw a video of this woman speaking and experienced some powerful, I think it's been called Kundalini awakening, and that was very strong. So I went to America there, to the ashram, and so on. Oh, nature, light, the changes in the light, the bliss just absolutely flows in nature, and it brings up intense feelings of tenderness and anguish. It sort of includes everything, you know. It includes all the children all over the world that are suffering and being abused, and the whole bit is all sort of all in there in the present moment a lot of the time. You're chewing your cud.
She
might be chewing a bit of apple, do you think?
Yeah, might just have another chuck.
Oh, has she been vomiting?
Oh, well, apparently that's what they do. Yeah, she's going to throw up again.
Oh. What is it, a third ball I bring up or something?
The land was previously owned by Minmia, an Aboriginal lady who, it was said, taught women's business and conducted dedication ceremonies.
One of the teachings is called the Eightfold Path, and that's represented by the 8-spoked wheel. Here may no unquiet thought disturb our minds.
The ceremonial gold colour sashes worn by Megha and Satyagandhi denote leaving the household life and sexual abstinence.
To the observance of the 5 precepts.
We dedicate this place.
We dedicate this place.
It's through demand that's what we're doing, that making it more open. And as time goes, it seems like, well, actually, there are quite a few people who it's quite a need for them to be able to meet with others, or to have a place to practice, and they're all practicing in these isolated situations.
Got from the tip to use for mulch. Star picket, rammer, and
Tucked into ancient Moorish terraces, Selja is the nearest village to the remote valley in the mountains, which got given the name Guhiloka. Some 20 years ago, a young Sasatya and some friends were leading the simple life in the village when, unexpectedly, they found themselves working with mysterious foreigners.
Y fue lo que hicimos, vinimos aquí, éramos 3 amigos y empezamos a recoger las olivas. Y bueno, sabíamos que eran unos budistas, ¿no? Pero no teníamos muy claro quiénes eran. Tampoco hablaban castellano muy bien y solo teníamos contacto con una o dos personas que estaban por aquí. Estuvimos bastantes días. Bueno, nos gustó mucho, ¿no?, la idea de recoger nuestras propias olivas y tener aceite, ¿no?, de un lugar. Luego más tarde fuimos conociendo a más gente. Havia llegit feia molt temps un llibre sobre budisme, però no tenia ni idea de qui era, no? Era molt misteriós. Crec que el fet de que haguessin arribat aquí una gent anglesa en una zona tan rural i a sobre budistes, entre cometes, era algo molt misteriós, no?, per tots, tant per la gent del poble com per nosaltres. No sé, em van caure simpàtics, em feia molta gràcia.
Vam anar una volta perquè hi ha un bar que es menja bé i tal, i allò ven cavallets.
Finnish artist Nagashila had a spiritual awakening while standing on one of Helsinki's little islands.
When I put my feet on that island, something started to happen. A very strong spiritual experience which lasted 1.5 hours. And I didn't know what it was, but after that I just knew that I had to find a spiritual practice for me. And in the end that led me in 2 years' time to meet Buddhism. And right at that moment when I read the first Buddhist book, I just felt that that's the same thing what I experienced on that island. It's in this book.
The Dandenong Ranges east of Melbourne are a tourist idyll and halt on the Puffin Billy Railway. Miggy Markers, a Mitra originally from Wales, has been living here with her husband and 3 children.
Nothing sleepy. No. Within a week, I'd say I meditate 4 or 5 times. My choice is to meditate early in the morning. I find the evenings I'm usually quite tired. After the children get back from school, there's dinners, and then after that there's activities. They do music and they go to various groups and things. So it's made for me going on retreat even more important. You know, I've really needed that. It's been like an injection of practice that I've needed, and faith, you know, to really sort of set me up again and to sort of trust that connection, that vision that's, you know, been there for a long time, and really sort of say yes, touching earth, very important. So that's what retreats have meant for me, and I've missed that over here, having that access.
Wir erreichen jetzt Berlin-Karlshorst.
The men's community have invited over for breakfast one of their ex-members. Christian, an architect, has great plans for a new Buddhist center.
Doch, jetzt ist das alles vereinbart. Wir sitzen gleich alle.
Kannst du mir noch helfen? Ich weiß nicht.
man auch Mängel sehen.
Ja.
Ja, genau, das ist die Leitung, hier ist die Fußgängerbrücke und das ist die S-Bahn. Wir werden das ganz normal wie die anderen Sachen auch bewerten.
Ja, das ist schon verkauft.
There's been a centre in the city since 1974. Taran Arthur was a much-loved family doctor until 20 years ago. Since retiring, his life has been very full with writing, teaching, and the community at his house.
The other thing that happened, that because of the accident, it didn't only break my back, but it broke all my defences. I didn't have the strength to be able to hold in the defences and the barriers that, you know, we all carry.
But every time I go, which is fairly intermittently, they ask me more about Buddhism. So there I find myself sitting on the sort of bench in therapy, describing things like mindfulness breathing, that I can actually do things and spread the Dharma as well.
Still, at your time of life, you can overcome that fairly quickly once you get mobile.
An inquiry, a British inquiry last night.
Well, I don't know why this spate of inquiries now we've run out of bedrooms.
Well, one of them, the guy rang last night, a young man, said he'd seen it on Trade Me.
Better not go on Trade Me. Well, the point is at the moment it's students, you see. So
Right. No, they're not looking for community, they're just looking for a room.
place to stay.
Well, yeah, but they don't want to take part in the community, they just want to have a crash pad.
Yeah.
And we've had one or two of them come around before and they have no interest in being part of the community at all.
So is everybody else.
Yes, I know ours is somewhat eclectic, isn't it?
Eclectic, that's not a bad word in this community.
Come home,
Today, Taran Arthur is leaving the community for a few weeks' retreat alone in the depths of Sudarshana Loka.
Don't do anything silly.
Yeah.
I'll probably fall down a gorge or something.
Bye.
Bye.
in the Yogacara, mind, everything is seen as an aspect of mind. Everything is mind only, chittamatra. So if we're asking what mind is, we could take ourselves very, very deep indeed. And that is what I'm going to use as a working basis. Mind here is the subjective dimension in our experience. And this is the basic Buddhist understanding. In the Sarvastivada, it's said that mind has 3 essential characteristics.
I do like the way Subhuti's approach this, which is let's not get too hung up on the precise thing. Let's try to look at the way this can help us.
It seems what people do is they're just caught in their mental states. They're not even stopping and really examining and feeling. You know, this is just the way it is. You know, I think
it's just like I'm doing this just to hopefully at the end of it somewhere I'll be, I'll have a happy.
I think it comes. He does go to pains very much like Subhuti saying, we're going to go down pretty deep to try and help you understand the idea of mental states, but he does warn you that we are dissecting it and don't be too perturbed.
Yeah, I ask myself the question, why am I doing this? And it's because you're just so busy doing whatever it is from day to day. You don't take that time out to step back and try and change the way you think.
Well, you start to see that there's a person, but you don't sort of distinguish that person with these characteristics. I mean, it's quite a fine line. And the point is that we tend to jump at that. We don't like to rest and sit back and just being generally aware. Can we just read on a bit?
It doesn't matter if I can't find my way through the Abhidharma, or if I do, if I can't remember it, or if Subhuti's teaching on the 5 ever-present mental events goes in one ear and out the other. For me, the only practice that matters, the only practice that works, is devotion. And devotion is to Tara, and Tara is compassion. And the further I can absorb Tara into my heart, the further I can evolve compassion, the more I will intuitively understand myself and all beings. And isn't that what practice is for? So I can stop beating myself up about not being good at study now, and just stay with devotion to Tara. And where else would I find Tara than here? Look at the country, it's green everywhere. There's nothing but green. There's nothing but Tara. But I can't stay here forever. I know that if after a few weeks I begin to need to share the Dharma with others, I begin to need the study groups and the discussion groups and the talks, and allow my heart to open just that little bit more to Tara.
I've got some news too, because I said to Taranatha when we went,
I've got some news. And he said, I have too. I said, now what's he up to?
So all I need to do is to soak myself in the green of the forest and to allow my heart to open day by day to the presence of Tara.
Some cases it's practically practical as much as anything. It was because they'd started. The Efterly Bureau is a wonderful seeding for other Buddhists.
Public preceptors have an overall responsibility for the spiritual training of people joining the order. Being here is a novel experience for Sona and Dhammarathi.
Vidyamala made you come there?
Yeah, I'm absolutely. I've decided to come next year if we have one, and definitely think we should do.
So lovely.
Well, first impression, obviously, the whole thing, it presents itself as quite kind of grungy, I'm afraid with the word that I went through my mind, just watching them serving, watching them organising the washing up, watching what they built, an incredible bit of plumbing for 24-hour hot showers. It just runs so well.
They seem to manage to create an atmosphere of it all being a little bit higgledy-piggledy, which adds to the charm of it.
During the retreat and festival season, the Buddhafield team is constantly on the move. For Trevor, the settled winter period is a time for Dharma study.
Buddhafield is not all Buddhist, is it?
All the core people are Buddhist. At the festival you get types of people, yeah, at the festival it's, all the core people are either Mitras or order members. I'm a Mitra, yeah. Yeah, but in the cafe we have lots of volunteers and they come from all different backgrounds. And it's good. That's how I got involved, was through the cafe.
Yeah.
Just volunteering. And,
Right, so this is washing stuff, so basically we need to just...
You're in a tent. Thank you.
I don't want to look...
Someone gave us the lift, it took us 4 hours.
Yeah, crazy idea. So you guys both at the Holloway Road Centre?
Yes.
The thing I find strange about it, apparently there's 400 people here, but when you walk around the field you just think, where is everyone?
Even in the shrine
it's so spacious,
still,
actually.
it's quiet.
That's another thing that's interesting, isn't it? Particularly in the meditation in the mornings, it's very, very still.
So 400 people sharing that experience.
Well, I'm not sure there was 400 in the morning, but it was a couple of hundred.
I counted.
Okay.
As Buddhafield team member Moksha confirms, organising retreats is challenging work.
There's some sort of tension going on. I'm not really...
The way we all
clearly,
tend to experience it is the sort of tension between the objective needs of the situation or something, you know, the practical things that have just got to be done in order to put on a retreat or hold a festival or bring and whatever it is brings the money in.
Yeah.
So there is a sort of kind of hard, we're up against a hard rock in some ways, and yes, tension between that and those that just want to experience the fruits, enjoy the fruits of that sort of lifestyle, and it is quite difficult sometimes to get both done.
We really do have to hit the ground running on Monday when the retreatants start to leave, because 1 or 2 vans have to be sorted out, loaded, driven away and taken off to Sunrise and reassembled.
Parce que j'ai souvent même entendu des amis dire qu'ils étaient plus attirés par exemple d'aller vivre en Angleterre, dans un domaine complètement, de leur vie en général, parce qu'ils sentaient qu'ils étaient plus libres d'être
Oh là là, quel
en
soulagement
Angleterre.
c'était pour moi.
Beaucoup plus qu'en France.
Oh là là, je me souviens à mon époque, on regardait comment tu étais habillée, tout. En Angleterre, on bouchait la pêche.
Et ça,
Les gars ne baratinaient même pas.
Dans la OBO, il y a un mélange de deux aspects qui peuvent attirer particulièrement les Français. Il y en a un, c'est l'importance du rituel, tout l'aspect vraiment de pensée claire, l'aspect intellectuel qui intéresse que les Français bien. Les Français aiment bien philosopher, parler d'idées.
Oui. Et le centre Bodhicitta, il avait un moine qui l'aidait, il pratiquait depuis 1 an, c'est tout. Et il avait déjà 4 pratiques de visualisation ou quelque chose comme ça. Et il aidait plein de temps la nonne au centre, et il était là depuis... Mais combien de temps ça tient? Tandis que vous, je vous vois pratiquer de façon bien intégrée. Donc, ça me donne l'impression que ça va tenir plus longtemps, que c'est pas juste une mode, une phase.
C'est un aspect qui est nouveau ou déroutant ou différent dans la société française. L'aspect Sangha, c'est quelque chose qui n'est pas très... C'est pas quelque chose dont les gens ont fait l'expérience auparavant.
Il faut vraiment que un groupe nouveau qui arrive fasse ses preuves de 1000 façons avant qu'il puisse être vraiment considéré sur la place publique.
Oui, c'est vraiment oui.
Elle a essayé de demander de faire une formation en communication non violente payée par ses employeurs, par l'OCDE. Et la dame des directions des ressources humaines lui a dit « Mais t'es sûr que c'est pas une secte, ça ?»
La religion était très normative.
Il est partout, la mode, on est bien moins la nourriture. Ça, Normandie.
Cet attachement à...
Oui. C'est la Saône-et-Loire, c'est Paris. Ici, on fait les choses comme ça. Chez nous, c'est comme ça. Et on est content de ça. Au moins, on sait ce qu'on fait. Et que c'est mieux. Donc je le vois vraiment, cet esprit-là, à tous les niveaux. Et donc, bien sûr, dans la religion aussi.
Comme chantait Brassens, les braves gens n'aiment pas que l'on suit une autre route que...
Voilà.
En suivant les chemins qui ne mènent pas à Rome. Mais les braves gens n'aiment pas que l'on suive une autre route que... Non, les braves gens n'aiment pas que l'on suive une autre route que... Tout le monde viendra me voir pendu, sauf les aveugles, bien entendu.
Traditional Buddhist orders used to meet in large numbers twice a month. The Spanish order is spread out along the coast, but does gather in one place from time to time.
Hasta luego.
Mucho tiempo yo tenía una idea de que esto iba a pasar.
Muchos años más.
Ah, ¿verdad? ¿Tú sabes? No te puedes imaginar la situación. La sábana en el y además va a salir también.
Pues sí. Ahora últimamente lo que estoy experimentando
es cierto cuestionamiento con los ritos. No me siento muy cómoda con, bueno, por ejemplo, con la pucha o con cosas así, ¿no? Me parece que los ritos son asuntos de culturas grandes, de pueblos, ¿no? Y son formas de unir a los pueblos y de crear sentimientos comunes, ¿no? Y cuando los ritos aparecen en una cultura que pretende desarrollarse en medio de otra cultura, ¿no? A mí se me complica bastante. Entonces, estoy reflexionando bastante sobre los ritos y cómo un rito que ha nacido completamente en otra cultura puede tener sentido para esta cultura cuando además no estamos formando exactamente un pueblo, ¿no? Porque para mí, aunque el budismo tiene elementos muy importantes de comunidad, tiene elementos más importantes todavía de individualidad, ¿no? Entonces, estoy reflexionando y estoy un poco confusa, ¿no?
Aunque en cierta forma sí que estamos creando un nuevo pueblo, ¿no? Se ha hablado en Inglaterra, ¿no? de la cultura de la OBO, ¿no? Que no es la orden, no es solamente las actividades, sino el ambiente alrededor que se crea, ¿no? Un ambiente que es palpable, es de donde, supongo, surgen esas cosas. Y es como crear desde la nada, ¿no? Un pueblo, sí. Así, ¿no? Entonces esas cosas se manifiestan en los rituales, ¿no? que las palabras no son lo más importante, sino el feeling detrás. Sí.
¿No? Me gustó mucho en la puya de ayer que Amalamati cantaba como los sufis. El último mantra, la última voz que hizo, era mucho como la tonadilla, la forma de cantar los musulmanes, ¿no? Sí, a mí me daba esa sensación.
¿El Shakyamuni?
Sí, era muy como cantan sus oraciones los musulmanes. Y me gustó mucho, supongo que la cultura musulmana es una cultura muy cercana y para mí bastante atractiva, ¿no?
Once a vicarage, Rivendell is now part of the Croydon Buddhist Centre, just south of London. For the last 13 years, Nick has been its gardener.
I've always had a strong connection with nature. I like to be outdoors. I live with my partner in Hove some of the time. I stay with my mum, who lives nearby here, who's very ill at the moment. I'm looking after her. Some of the time I stay on my boat, which is my escape from it all. And I have lived here for a year. I lived here on and off actually in the past. I think what it was, if you have a community, then I think, yeah, it was a learning experience. I think it's probably something I needed to do. But, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like things seem to lose their meaning for me if it's imposed from the outside. So it needs to come from, you know, I need to express myself, and very much like having freedom in the garden, actually. Raising plants and laying out flower beds, as I've done more of it, I've just found, you know, that there's a lot of pleasure in it.
At this point in the weekend, Dr. Mark Newton, busy consultant neurologist, becomes Siladasa, teacher and chair at the two Buddhist centres.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you.
The main centre, Brunswick, is in a residential neighbourhood, while the new city branch downtown is proving to be a challenge for the council.
Okay, should we talk about centres now? Again, we don't have to make any decisions. It's really just about taking stock of where we are now, where do we think things are going, what will work the best for us and for our vision and for our resources.
Yeah, now we've got this very healthy bunch, which is fabulous. But I just sort of think for this centre, the time might be a little past, and that we'd be better to consolidate in the one centre in Brunswick. And I don't see it for myself on the agenda anymore. I think it's a shame. We haven't explored the full potential, but enough's enough in a way.
Yes. It might be that a lot of people are just stuck at work, cannot get here until after 5 o'clock. We don't know because the doors close at 4.
My feeling, given that we've only got, 15, 18 months on the lease, I think that has important bearing about how much energy to keep putting into here. I think it would be a different story if, I know that's the option to extend, but given the circumstances around that, I personally wouldn't want to be renewing the lease here.
Maybe they could be addressed, maybe they can't be, maybe we just don't have the time and resources to do it better. But I think as much as we can say, we've got this response for opening these hours 4 days a week. It might be a very different response if we open different hours.
Be able to look over the figures to see which, I know it probably varies a bit, but which days have been more consistent.
Tuesday, and then Wednesday and Thursday are quite variable.
See, I mean, there's a lot of effort going in for one person to do a course.
Sure.
Despite a busy schedule, Siladasa finds time to get exercise, spend time with his partner, Rosemary, and sometimes just to stop.
How's your mum?
She's very well. She's talking about going to England.
Oh, really?
Planning to send you an email today to look through.
Manjushri, Buddha of Wisdom, bears aloft one book.
Look at prices for myself before.
Ratnajoti deals with about 2,000 titles at his Windhorse Books warehouse, as well as run a business similar to Lotus Realm.
So those ones first. Just bring those over, bring these ones over here, and I'll do the sales.
Vajranatha runs Libros Buddhistas from his apartment, and lists about 170 titles for the Spanish-speaking world.
Une emphase très forte sur le renoncement. Renoncer les plaisirs, renoncer le monde, renoncer el foyer.
Entonces, uno siempre con atención consciente debería evitar los placeres sensuales, soltándolos. Entonces cruza al otro lado del río.
Wenn das Bewusstsein durch Gier an das Element Körperlichkeit gebunden ist, sagt man, es lebe im Hause.
Subhuti schreibt das ja auch so als Inseluniversum, die alle Ebenen und Gliederungen von den Höllen bis zum höchsten Himmel in sich fasst. Was erstmal, ich glaube, was er damit meint, ist halt, dass das, was jetzt da als Welt immer abgebildet ist, nochmal in sich sozusagen als Welt, als Universum besteht, genauso wie...
The Berlin Center, opened in May 1998, is no longer large enough. They plan to create a new state-of-the-art Buddhist center.
Ja, auch. Ja, ich denke, man muss das wirklich so in dem ganzen Paket sehen.
Kopfhörerkino klingt nach Meditation, nicht?
Qigong. Wir haben Qigong.
Also die Meditationsglocke ist mir lieber, glaube ich.
Ja. Also das ist erstmal, so wie ich das verstanden habe, ist das eine alte Schule und das ist ein Komplex, den irgendwelche Investoren haben jetzt.
Ja, ganz gut, ne? Also, ja, das ist auch noch. Ich denke, das wird ein gutes Zentrum sein. Ne?
Ja.
Aber ein guter Heim, das reicht nicht. Ja, wir brauchen noch was, denke ich.
Das stimmt.
Und ob wir einen Teil davon kriegen könnten, ne, oder irgendwo anders, das würde
die Möglichkeit, vielleicht in den Hauptgebäude sich einzumieten.
Genau.
Einzukaufen.
Das muss geklärt werden.
Das ist noch die Frage.
Nutzungsmöglichkeit des verkauften Hauptgebäudes.
Get away, you got Nutzung. Wiederhol das nochmal. Das ist ganz gut.
Im bereits verkauften. Bereits.
Verkauften.
Hauptgebäude, Haupttrakt, ja. Sind zu klären.
Gebäude? Ja. Sind noch zu klären oder noch sind zu klären.
Sind zu klären.
Ja, besonders atmosphärisch geeignet für Zentrum oder was?
Atmosphärisch geeignet.
The Odessa Mitras have asked Nagadagni to stay and teach them for a couple of weeks.
Well, that I can say from this martial arts group here in Odessa that they have really a strong friendship element if you just see them between themselves and just also, well, helping each other. Sometimes one man just giving money to Dima because he thought of, well, we need to be fed, so he just wanted to help. So it's just, it feels very natural and very good that they develop through their martial arts practice in a way. So it feels like a really Sangha.
The hosts are a young couple, Ira and her partner, Dima.
Что все не так, как он хотел, например.
Это я.
Вот он ожидал чего-то и не получил этого, как ребенок. То выйти из этого состояния можно путем подавления этих эмоций. Он расстроен.
Потому что он не получил, что хотел.
Да, потому что не получил, что хотел. И он хочет выйти из этого состояния. Вот, например, что он понимает, что он не хочет плакать, но он все равно плачет.
Почему он не хочет плакать, например?
Он понимает, что это не нужно, как бы. Вот
Знаешь,
плохие эмоции, они приносят усталость, они забирают энергию.
Мне кажется, что у тебя очень много разного в одном.
И либо, есть несколько вариантов, либо забыть об этих плохих чувствах и думать о хорошем, например, да?
Я могу хотеть то, что я могу сама сделать. Бывает, что я хочу кое-что. Я могу думать о себе, что я хочу кое-что, а мне не дадут, например. И что важно, смотреть на другого человека, как он есть, а не на него как бы отражать свои желания.
Но у тебя же желание все равно останется, от этого желания не исчезнет.
Нет, когда я понимаю, что у меня меньше становится желания.
Но меньше, но оно все равно есть.
Это называется привязанность.
Да, она
Сабина,
называется.
правильно сказать, допустим, что свои вот желания, да, или вот свое ощущение, вот, допустим, счастья в жизни, или там вообще, вот свое, оно приоритетнее, нежели вот все остальные.
Это очень интересный и важный момент буддийский, просто опустить свое эго, свое как бы эгоистическое желание.
Выполняющий безграничное пространство.
Достану я опоры всех существ.
Достану я опоры всех существ.
Беспредельно вселенная. I see that in Odessa, with these people having this martial art together, something in common, they still hold or create a positive island in a society which tends to break into little bits like in the West too.
From Russia's southern neighbour to its northern one, and from martial artists to a fine artist.
The last exhibition was with these black oil pastels on black paper and some newspaper images. All these people are in pain. Then, probably, if I remember right, this was like this, and you have an image of contemporary art there. I want to have their normal paintings, but I want to add the world also in. And somehow I have found that using just newspaper collages, when people are looking like that picture, which is probably quite beautiful in most of people's eyes, then there is this something war picture very near, and it creates a conflict in the human mind.
Working mainly at night, the meditative process of creation progressed until the energies stirred up were so physically stressful, Nagashila had to go into hospital. Though nothing physically was ever found, he took a month off. That was 6 months ago.
I'm quite imbalanced, but still sometimes I just feel the effect that it's very near to this unbalanced way of something in me or in my body, in my mind and in my mind. But during that process I also got one ritual object which is again interesting. It just came to my mind. I'll show you. This is the latest. Actually, I got this just before my body started to react. So I don't know what is the connection. This is the bone of the swan. The white swan or swans, they are actually our national bird, and somehow the white swan against the blue sky, that's Finland, that's pure Finland, that's how human mind or Finnish mind is. The pure white swan against the clear blue sky.
The black swan of Finnish myth is associated with death. Ordination has been likened to a spiritual death and rebirth, and in Bayamati's case, certainly a process of extremes.
I remember coming into the shrine room and there were all the public and private preceptors, and wow, this ceremony is going to include me. I think it was really the happiest part of the retreats, the public ordination. I remember just feeling very, very happy, because I guess I realised, well, no matter how sort of terrifying or sort of feeling the enormity of the occasion, I wanted to do it. And when I'd done it, and particularly when I stood up and had my name explained, I felt very, very happy. It was worth going through a lot. I remember the morning of the private ordination. I remember very clearly walking down to Dada Rinpoche Stupa and circumambulating and doing the Tirasana Vandana, and then Sadaraja leaving, and I remember when he left, it dawned on me, I'm doing this alone, and I have got a choice whether to go, but it didn't really feel like a decision to make. I mean, I was going to go, and I remember I thought, well, I'll get up there as quick as I can, get into there, and every sort of step I took, I felt I was going towards this sort of big thing, this sort of energy field. Yeah, and then going into the stupa and sitting facing Sadaraja and doing this very simple ceremony, and I felt just so happy and grateful to be able to be there, to be at that point.
And you got somebody else moving up in April for dinner in April.
Oh, beautiful. Actually, you might think that humans are different to fish and to worms and to kangaroos and all that sort of stuff, but actually we all, once upon a time, millions of years ago, we were all the same, and we just evolved a little bit differently, went down slightly different pathways. What I want you to do is I want you to turn to somebody else. Maybe Ramona, you do it with Hannah, and Indy, you can do it with your mum. And I want you to feel the pulse in the person's wrist that you're doing it with, yeah? So do you know how to feel the pulse? So see if you can feel the blood flowing. Yeah. So the reason I got you to do that is because that blood circulating, that's why you can feel the pulse, right? It's the blood.
From his home in Brighton, Josh pays a visit to his father, Tara Bodie, in nearby Hove.
May I have your attention, please?
In Birmingham Station, Kalyana Prabha sets out for Stockport to see her very old friend, Nandana.
This is the 1118 Virgin Voyage into Manchester Piccadilly. Service now calls on Wolverhampton.
What news of the grandchildren?
What?
What news of Holly and Vicky?
Oh, they're Holly. I think.
Vicky?
Yes. The names jumble up in my head, and I've got to pick them out first. Oh, they're doing quite well anyway. Very well.
Good. Yeah.
Do well at school. They're quite bright.
Yeah, I heard that.
When they feel like it.
I see.
There's something very special about being here, you know, for me now. The way it's getting set up, you know. And that Polish girl, Monica, She wants me to come up and talk to me all about the Wheel of Life and all that.
Does
sort of
she?
thing. Yes.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Mm.
How's your Swahili? Leaps and bounds?
No. I've lost my dictionary now. My words. Mbaya.
Mbaya. What's that?
Morning.
Steam engineering version of pornography. There was nothing she could do. No marriage guidance counsellor would see it as anything but a harmless hobby, and Agnes knew she would sound cracked if she found very gripping, I don't think. And Mr. Brunel's fancy railway terminus. After 3 such treats, and being the only wife accompanying, she never went again. A trolley appeared with biscuits and beverages, pushed by a boy with hair like a pixie's, and for a while they fussed over their purchases. And now here they were, and this was it, and she had been her usual fool to hope for Paris. She slumped in her seat. Suddenly, in a whirl of déjà vu,
to face it in each direction, and we're going to make a noise to attract the relevant spirits from that direction.
This connection here is hopefully a lasting one. It doesn't feel like it's transient in any way. I've made some very good friendships here and I very much value this experience. And we may well return sometime, you know, I don't know. The future's still quite open. At this point in time, we are going back to Britain because that's what we need to do. The way I work with the Dharma isn't in the context of Sangha, probably because I have children and a lot of my life is around school and families and things. And they feel equally valid to me. You know, I have a lot of contacts with people and they were really genuinely very upset we're going. And they're not people I've known very long either. So I suppose I see my practice on a very day-to-day basis. I don't need to be in a centre. Of course it's important to have Sangha contact and collective practice and, you know, spiritual friendships, I utterly agree. But I also think that the effect that people have on each other is very important too, in a positive way, hopefully. And I think I've experienced that, yeah. And hopefully people around us experience that too.
Well, that was, I think it might have been on Buddha Day or something like that, but it was down at the Melbourne Buddhist Centre and we were doing a kids' activity, we were just drawing play flags, so I made one, that's the one I made.
What does it say on it?
Om Mani Padme Hum, which I knew what it was, but I've just forgotten now. Something to do with keeping the peace or something like that.
I mean, I've been aware for a while, you know, obviously that it's the end of the retreat has been coming and that might be quite a big experience. I won't really know until I get back to Cambridge how things will be. But I do sense that I am different and I imagine that I will see that more clearly when I see other people and I see my old surroundings, my room, my community, that I'll think, oh, Abhay Mati isn't John. I really have found the retreat to be extraordinary from the point of view of Sangha. It has felt really quite wonderful at times. Yeah, to have had so many really good people around, and I guess I've made some deeper connections with people. We shared certain experiences together, certainly with Sadharaja being my preceptor and us going through some pretty intense times on the retreat. But I sense a kind of connection with everybody, I think, on the retreat. Just the very fact that we've been through this experience together, which I think will be very interesting to see later. I'm sure there will be something there to see each other.
Hello, how are you doing? Good. I've got your card, but I'm not giving it to you.
Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi.
Dhammam saranam gacchāmi.
Sangham saranam gacchāmi.
Dutiyampi buddham saranam gacchāmi. Dutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchāmi. Dutiyampi sangham
Tathyanpi dhammam saranam gacchāmi. Tathyanpi sangham saranam gacchāmi.